The big thing is that with progress, there's change. And people want to hold on to what they got, so to speak. Either you're growing or you're dying, but you can't hold on. That's not happening. There's no way in life you will be able to stop time. So, we're doing this in 3 segments. Segment number 1 is not even this. Segment number 1 is called the front office. You'll have a handout with a little overview. The information is a little overwhelming in the beginning, and we understand that. But please understand that our intention is to share information. There's going to be a point where you're going to be overwhelmed and say, man, I'm still stuck in the first part. Make a little note that afterwards, when you ask questions from your notes, we're able to answer it. If we can't do it today, then you know to go to umanradius.com, press the discussion board, and we have a Kaizen chat. Anyone knows the definition of Kaizen? What is it? Constant and never-ending improvement. A chat. Let's talk about how we can continuously improve. That's why I called it a Kaizen chat. You go there, you post a question, and if we don't know the answer, somebody will eventually answer that question you have, such as, how do I take care of Damien? You know Damien, right? Satan's son that goes to every school. He changes his name, his height, but he's the same freaking kid. He walks in, and your life just changes for a few seconds. And what to do with Damien? Because Satan was an angel too, right? So, what to do with Damien? You may have that question. I got the answer to that. If I don't, welcome. Today is a historical day because it's the first official UMAN, Unified Martial Arts Network. We mean business seminar. It'll be short to the point in the fact that it's 45-minute segments, 15-minute break in between where you can actually interact with the speakers. And the goal of the day really is to just take things to the next level. In '88, things could be great. You guys may be doing good, but honestly, you can do great. You have to just challenge yourself, and we're going to give you as much information as possible for you to be able to make a decision on where you want to actually be this time next year or in the next few months, if not 10 years from now. Because regardless of how strong we are, you cannot hold back time. And the first person that's speaking is one of my dear friends, but more importantly, I've been a fan for many years because he's been a type of person to reinvent himself over and over. Literally and technically, he does not look like the person that I met. On top of that, and none of us probably do, because I was half the size a few years ago. And, and the point is that but progress has changed. Changing is good. Hopefully you changed the underwear from yesterday. You understand? Change is good. People want to keep it the same, but the fact of the matter is that there's nothing wrong with change if it's for the better. If it's for the better. We're in a beautiful location right now. This location just a few months ago did not look the same, wasn't even called the same thing. It changed again. If you find systems to make your life easier so you're able to help those who are needing you guys to become leaders, then you're going to do it. We're just providing more options for you to do if you choose to, because it's on you. Chris Colombo, Kiyoshi Chris Colombo, formerly Shihan, formerly Sensei, at one time Senpai, change for the better, increasing. Very soon, Professor. I made the mistake of calling him that a few times. That was a pre-announcement. He kindly corrected me without telling me, but I got it. That was cool. Then I changed it a few times. That was good. I appreciate that. That also shows the humbling part. This gentleman, not only has he been an expert in martial arts skills, but I know you guys want to do a walk through the school because, man, this school is beautiful. You can eat off the floor. That's called standards. He's been able to reinvent himself, and he's a multiple person like all of us, complete human, in the simple fact that he's a top school owner, but has been a top competitor in multiple divisions. Weapons, self-defense, sparring, force, anything he wanted at that given day. In addition to that, 1988, so he has at least, from that I know of, over 25 years of teaching. Maybe more, but I'm just going back to my personal reference. A quarter of a century of martial arts instruction. Forget about what he's been obtaining as a student. So I think that he has more than enough qualifications to be able to share some of the things that he's been able to use in order to take things to the next level. Hence, Kaizen, constant and never-ending improvement, which is what the goal should be. Better your best. Challenge yourself. Open your ears, take copious notes, and if at any point you have a question, make a note of what that question is, and without further ado, if you don't mind giving a big round of applause to Kiyoshi Chris Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Fontanez. That speech is amazing. It's been, I just want to first, I just want to get away from the formality, and I just want to thank you very much for coming today and visiting my school. I'm humbled that you're here, seriously, because what it tells me is that you actually made a decision that there's a direction that you can take to improve, to get better. Because the hardest thing for all of us to do, I'm even going to put that down. The hardest thing for all of us to do is empty our cup and just say, you know what, I can learn from you, I can learn from you, I can learn from you, I can learn from you and you and you. We can learn from each other. There's always something. We always think, as adults, we tend to think we know what's going on, we know what we're going to do. And we really don't. We're flying by the seat of our pants. It's like we become a parent. You get a manual? When you became a parent, they give you a manual. This is how you raise your child?
No.
We learn as we go. Well, our dojo, our schools, it's our children, right? So we're learning. We train for so many years to attain rank and knowledge and proficiency in the martial arts. We develop our forms. We develop our techniques, our self-defense skills. We develop all those things. And our instructors, they have so much passion. The ones that we've stayed with. We know, we've seen instructors that are kind of so-so, but we have those instructors, each one of us in our hearts. We know who they are to us. The people that have touched our lives and made a difference and changed us for who we are. Well, what we got from those people, they spent years developing their skills. But unfortunately, a lot of our great masters didn't have the business concepts in place. There was a different type of martial artist that was working on the business side. Many years ago, I decided that, I have to improve. I can't get more than 12 students on the floor. People don't want to stay in the school because it's too rough. It's too hard. Oh, they hit each other. Oh my goodness. Oh no. What am I going to do? Well, you have to sometimes look at what you're doing and learn from those experiences. Now, the business side of it, I started realizing if I was going to affect more people's lives, I'm going to have to change. Because I could have 12 great students, but what would happen if I can impact my community? Instead of affecting 12 students, I could affect 30. Wow, I got 30 students now. What happens if I can affect 50 students? I remember thinking about 50 students being like, wow, 50 students.
A lot of people.
Yeah, I'm an instructor now. I got 50 students. The bottom line is, think about it. How many lives can we touch? When you touch 50 students, do you really touch 50 students? No. You triple it. Because they at least have a mom and a mother and father. Well, some of us did. I didn't. But that's a different story. My point is that we touch other lives because they have associates, they have friends, they have different sides of the family per se. And family is just a word. Because when I bring up the family subject, went through the foster system. Didn't have a family. And people came into my school, they look at it, and they look, wow, it's beautiful. It's great. Oh, he must have money. You know what? I came up through social services. was in and out of the foster system, never adopted. You know, people get adopted, they were blessed. I made choices though. Some of the choices weren't so good when I was young. You know, I was a little rough on the edges, motorcycle clubs. You know, I tell you, I've been through a lot and I've seen a lot. But through the foster system, I met this one woman. My name's not even Colombo. The woman that was a foster parent for 30 children. They were all adopted, except for me. But she asked me when I turned 16, she says, would you like to change your name to Colombo? I said, are you kidding me? I am Colombo. As far as I was concerned, that was my mom. You know, I decided to make a difference. I decided to be successful. In high school, I was in a psychology class. Now, I was having trouble in high school because I wasn't quite doing everything that I was supposed to be doing. But they said in a psychology class that if you were this, this, and this, and they described me, you're going to be dead, on drugs, or in jail. That's what they told me. And I took offense to it. I got very upset about it. And I said, that's not true. I said, because I'm going to be different. It took me a while to really be different because I was going down that path. But it took me a while. But I realized I could be different. Not only could I be different, I could make a difference in other people's lives, and I could show them how they too can beat the odds and be successful. Take that kid that's at risk and show him how he is somebody, or she is someone. She's a good person. She's passionate. She's talented. She's got skills. She's got knowledge. She's intelligent, or he's intelligent. You want them to feel great. And I decided I'm going to start doing that in my martial arts program. And naturally, when I first started my school, I thought I was going to do it better than everybody else did it. I thought I was going to reinvent the wheel because it was me. So I had that kind of confidence. And I know people that had that kind of confidence before. Okay? But the bottom line is, you start to get humbled because when you start to do all these things that are different, then you start to realize, wow, there's not a lot of money in my bank account. How am I going to pay the rent this month? So start going through those challenges, start going through those experiences. Then I remember years ago, Master Fontanez called me. Mr. Colombo, hey, what do you think about this? He started talking to me about this business thing, and I was like, I don't know. I'll talk to you later. And I just get off the phone with him. I said, this guy's out of his mind. This guy's crazy. And he's persistent. He would keep calling me every so often. So, how you doing? He'd be all happy on the phone. I'm like, where is this guy get the energy? But what amazed me was through seeing his success, and I'm older, but I looked up to him.
I'm taller.
And, well, that's another reason.
How they look at
But I did. I looked up to him. I admired him. I admired that he had that passion. And I saw how he got people fired up and did things. And I said, oh, that's good. Then I started seeing numbers and hearing what he was doing business-wise. And I said, well, if he could do it, I can do it. Because I'm a competitor. I'll tell you what. I'm not, about to sit back and just let somebody else do it. And I'm going to stand by and be a failure. That's a bad word. It's like a 4-letter word to me. It's just got more letters. So I didn't want to be a failure. So I chose to make a difference. And in starting the school, I first started my school, and I didn't think about the reinventing myself section until Mr. Fontanez brought it up earlier in the conversation. I did. When I started my school, I didn't really have a school. You see, I didn't have a school. I rented Master Tommy May's school on Saturday and helped teach for nothing. Then he said, you should start something. You're doing jiu-jitsu and you should do this. So I started, so the days that he didn't teach, I would use the space. On Saturday, on Friday, the times when no one else wanted to be there. So I started my school. Then I was at a health club, the YMCA. And then I started to realize I had no money. I really didn't have a school, but I had students that cared. my student said to me, we got to start a school. So I went out of my way and I said, okay, I created Westchester Jiu-Jitsu. That was the name of the school. Okay, we had shirts, we embroidered our thing. Yeah, we were at school at American Super Spas Health Club. So, to make a long story short, gotta move forward. Oh, at that time I was sensei. Sensei, you gotta get to school. How am I gonna do that? I don't have any money. I'm barely paying rent. Fact is, I was behind on rent. If I didn't know the owner of the building, I would have been evicted. You know, I had tenants. They had like 8 legs. They didn't pay rent. In fact, it cost me more because I had to get all this spray to try to keep them from crawling all over my house. This is no joke. It was a studio. My TV was here. I'd wake up in the middle of the night before a tournament, and I'd get my little 4-foot Joe staff, and I'd be doing right in front of it. I almost break the TV because it's right there. I couldn't turn around without bumping into the bed and the TV. That's how much room I had, and there was nothing. I had nothing. I had an old Datsun B210 Toyota Corolla. Man, it was all rusted, falling apart. I bought it for $250 because someone else didn't want to junk it. So I'm telling you, I've been at the bottom of the heap. My student says, Sensei, you gotta get to school. Now they didn't know what I was really living like, you know. I says, I don't have it. So 2 students lent me $3,000, $1,500 each. So with $3,000, I started my school, my first school. And that was in 1988, I rented my space. Now I'm involved in the martial arts since 1977, so it's 31 years I've been doing this. But I started my school in 1988, and I incorporated Westchester Jiu-Jitsu Limited. Then it became Westchester Jiu-Jitsu Studios. Again, trained for over a period of time, started seeing some of the East-West karate schools doing their thing, and I started realizing at that time, nobody did jiu-jitsu. Just, you know, Professor V and Stokey Littlejohn and Moses Powell, those were the greats. But if people weren't in the neighborhood and knew who those people were, they didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. People came in my dojo, oh, can I order a trophy? Excuse me? Is this a trophy store? I'm sorry, man. This is a karate school. Is this a jiu-jitsu school? Those are trophies I want. Oh. Okay, thank you. They'd leave, right? So it was weird how that worked. But then I started seeing, then I changed, evolved to East-West Karate Jiu-Jitsu Studios because I felt that people knew what karate was. So I changed my sign, so now I didn't get people coming in to buy trophies anymore. It said East-West Karate Jiu-Jitsu Studios. So that's how I evolved the second time around. I did that for many, many years. And not too long ago, I just changed to premium martial arts. There's a lot of reasons why I made changes. I did it without discarding my old system. I have not stopped teaching Kumite Ryu Jiu-Jitsu and Viarnis Jitsu that I learned from Professor V and from Soki Littlejohn Davis and the bits and pieces from the Vijitsu Te from Moses Powell. I didn't discard it. It's still in my curriculum. So I made changes. Those are things that we could speak about, I think, on a personal level, if you have questions later. But the point was, reinventing and reevaluating is important. You have to constantly look at where you are, where you want to be, and then you got to know how to. Then you got to set a plan to get there. Now, I have some handouts that I gave out. First section is involving marketing. To get new students, you have to get the phone to ring or new prospects to walk in the door. Well, that sounds good. How do we do that? Well, that's a seminar by itself. How to get people to walk into your school. How do you promote your business? You know, I always would go to seminars and hear people talking on how to do it. And those to the schools that had like 1,000 students, 700 students. Well, sure, if I had unlimited income, I could do that too. how was I going to do it when I couldn't put food on my table, but I wanted to build my school? So marketing is important. And each one of us has something to offer in the realm of marketing and how to build your student body, still student base. So marketing is important. Moving fast forward for marketing, you've got people who call you on the phone, and then you've got people that are going to walk in the door. So there's two things. So just reviewing that, the first conversation, be an information getter, not an information giver when on the phone. Try to wait till you get them in person before you start giving too much information. If they walk in the door, give them the information they're asking for. Why do people come into your school and say, "Hi, how are you, ma'am?" Or they won't bow, but they may come in. But a little thing is, they don't know to bow. Bow to them. That's pretty humbling. Bow to them. And then all of a sudden you set a precedent, and all of a sudden they just start doing it. They don't even know why they're doing it. They're just copying you, right? But be an information getter before, get as much information as you can. Have them come into the school. Talk to them. The next step, I think that's important, is show them what they can expect out of your school. In reviewing the tour, establish professionalism and your attention to details and safety. Now is the time to impress them with your school layout. Well, my first school didn't have much to impress them with. This school's beautiful. My first school, I had a mat. It was called commercial carpet glued to cement. That was my mat. I had a push-up area. It was called cinder block. So I had all those things. But that was the era when I had 12 students. And I could never seem to get more than 12 students. And everybody that came in tried and trained for a while. And, they loved it. They all loved what they did. But it was just a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too hard. So what was happening was I wasn't really listening at that point to my students' needs. I wasn't really paying attention. And we really, for us to help them get what they need, we have to listen. So we have to know what they want. I'm going to take you for a tour. So if I could ask each of you, let's stand up, let's go up to the front door, and I'm going to just go through what I do with the school. This is not necessarily the right way to do it. This is one way to do it. And understand that if I try something and then I see it's not working, I switch gears and change automatically. I will change. I find that, whoop, that wasn't good to say. Whew, that was pretty stupid of me. And I start seeing that I'm not getting the results that I need. I adapt. I change. You have to have, I call it rigid flexibility. What do I mean by that? Let me tell you, I'm strict. I'm very set in my ways. I do things a certain way. I. You hear that word? But there's a time when you have to look and listen and say, maybe what I think is right is not the best way. And I need to change slightly and modify my behavior. So I call it rigid flexibility. When a student comes into my school and they walk in, they don't know what, the hardest thing for them to do is open that door and walk in here because they don't know what's on the other side. So I walk in and I smile. My first thing, smile. Us! How are you, young man? Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for coming to school. My name's Kiyoshi. What's your name?
Leon.
Oh, Leon. It's my pleasure to meet you. Did you ever, hey, how did you do it? How did you just happen to walk into school? You were walking by?
Taking a look at the area, I saw the school and I just popped in.
Wow, it's fantastic. It's great, great, great. Well, welcome to our school. This is our school. Did you ever study martial arts before?
No, sir.
No? It's unbelievable. Great. So we're gonna try to give you a little, you mind if I give you a little tour and show you around the school?
I'd love to see the place.
All right, cool. So that's kind of like a little introduction. I want to make him feel welcome. And it can't be fake. It has to be sincere. Because you know what? When you're phony, it comes out.
Right.
And if they don't catch it then, they're going to catch it later. So if you're happy to see them, make sure they know you're happy. If you're not happy to see them, then you're not going to have a customer. You're not going to have a student. Because it's all about this young man who's going to train. It's all about the student. Well, I would go through a whole I would talk to that person, find out what they want, get information from them, and I'm going to offer information. A lot of times people are going to call or come in, and what's the first thing they're going to say? How much is it? Why do people do that? Well, I'll give you an answer. The reason they do it is they don't know what else to ask. Does anybody ever give you instructions on how to search for a karate school? No. What's the first question? Logical questions. Well, how much is it? How much for what? and then the thing is, you got to take control of the conversation. You have to ask the questions because they don't know what to ask. Besides, how much is it? Now, once I have someone into the school and I get an idea of what their goals are, what they want to get out of training, then I'll determine what type of a program or martial arts experience would be best for them. And then I can give them a realistic price. That's the right way for me to approach that price question. What do they need first? Let me make sure that I can provide what you're asking for. And if I can, I will figure out a plan for you. Let me show you around the school. When you become a student in our school, you're going to have a membership card. You'll scan your card here. Attendance is gonna go into the computer. Come, if you don't mind, slip off your shoes. Follow me. This is the front area. This is our pro shop. This is where we have supplies. Anything you need for training, you can get here. Now, before we enter the school, we always show respect. And the way we show respect is by bowing. And it's not that because someone is better than you. It's a mutual respect. It's from an instructor to a student and a student to an instructor. And we would first bow and say, "Wuss!" and step into the classroom. And follow me. Wuss! The next position. Wuss. 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 This is good. You guys are good. You're all fantastic students. Wuss. But the next thing that we would do when coming into the school is the students would put their bags underneath the benches. Those are invisible benches right there, right now. Okay, and put their shoes and jackets and everything here. So the students' personal belongings would be inside this area. Let me just tell you a little bit about the school here. These are swing mats. These mats, best mats made, they use them in the Olympics. They were invented by a guy named Mike Swain, won the Olympics he won a gold medal in the Olympics in 1992 in Seoul, Korea. Fantastic mats. Then we have full-length mirrors, so when you're practicing routines, you can see yourself, you can modify your form and your stance, and check your focus. Kicking targets and shields and wall padding, just for safety. Since we do a lot of throws and rolls and things like that, there's a possibility you can end up close to a pole. We just want to be safe. Come on down this way now, I'll show you. Over here we have the restroom. You see, we try to keep it clean, try to keep it stocked. And for the women, we even keep special stock on sanitary accessories in the cabinet, just in case something happens one day, God forbid. Now, children, we would expect to come dressed to our class. We don't have locker rooms. We really don't need locker rooms. We're here to train, so we're going to use all our space for training purposes. Over back to the back rear there, we have our emergency exit. And over here, behind that wall, we have our office. It's an open door office. We'd never take children back there without a parent present, even though it's an open door office. And the open door office would make it comfortable for a female to come in and sit down with us and have a conversation. It's not closed. This way, there's also video I can see from back in my office. You can see right through that glass thing there. And I can see the floor. So even if I had to walk away for a moment while another instructor was running the floor, I know what's going on. Okay, and we take a lot of pride in what we do. Because we want you to know that you're in a safe and professional environment. Okay? All right, let's have a seat.
Okay. In order to get the most out of this, I'm going to reiterate the simple fact. There's a lot of information. And what you may think is a great piece of information right now, you don't make a note of it. you will have a major problem remembering these things. Because let's just assume that 99.9% of the information, if you ask him, he's going to know explicitly. But there's some space for improvement, which is called improvising and acting. And it's just going to come off the cuff, so to speak, or from the hip. Copious notes are extremely important now. And again, our intention is to make the most out of this experience. Do not rely on another person that's in your team to do all of the notes. Get your own pen and paper, because you will be able to review your notes, pen and paper that's been provided. Why? Fact is that there's going to be dialogue between you if you have information. Unless it's, well, yeah, what was it? Oh yeah, I remember some of that. You don't want that. You want to take copious notes on traditional 2000 paper. Why? Because you can easily, unless you take that to the bathroom, I don't know, and then there people really go with those two fingers. So maybe disregard that part. But I'm still 20th century. That walkthrough was phenomenal to me because there was a lot of details in there. Now, you know that, I mean, when I had 1,000 students, I did probably about 10% of what he did there. And we had, without bragging, the biggest operation in the history of New York. Tiger Showman had nothing on us because we had 6 schools. He had 1 in New York during that time. Us knowing that information that he just provided there, we would have had a lot more schools just with that alone, the entire walkthrough. Reason being, it answered 99% of the questions, and it had nothing to do about karate, had everything to do with my concern as a parent who has a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. And where am I going to have them go? Where I'm comfortable with all the negative stuff that has happened throughout the years, even in karate, recently, every few months, or every few years, in the immediate area, every few months, some nonsense happens that tarnishes all of us. Whether it's children or women and children. And recently in the area, a male, teenage male, in this specific area. Thank God there's a martial arts school in the area that actually provided a free safety program yesterday. Right in there. One of the many things. The point is that take the copious notes for you, so you can review, ask yourself questions, how can I improve upon that? Because believe me, as he was telling you this information, when he watches it on tape, via editing it himself, he's going to say, I forgot that, could have made that better. Because his standards are never-endingly increasing. He might say something about his posture. I wasn't loud enough, I was too loud. Standards. Do not rest on your laurels. You can always do better than you think you can. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. What would you attempt if you knew that it was impossible to fail? What would you attempt if you knew it was impossible to fail? We're not going to continue. Incredible.
Okay, that's what I would do in the front. That particular segment is how I introduce the front of the school when I talk about what's happening. Now, a lot of times we walk into schools, many years I go into school, and I'm guilty of this, because I was such a competitor every weekend, okay? I was competing, okay? It was the PKL, the Karate Illustrated ratings, I had to be rated. You remember those days. Oh, yeah. So my point was I had to get out there, I had to do it. So I was so competitive. I was talking about how many, I just went to this tournament and I won, and I have a picture over there when I was so full of myself with all bunch of trophies. Well, I doubled that. And then I realized I didn't need these trophies. Because being a champion meant helping other people to be successful, right? To not get hurt in the street. That's what being a champion really was. So then I started throwing little tournaments in my school. I would autograph my trophies. I gave every one of those trophies away to kids. Those kids may have those trophies to this day in their room.
And that's more meaningful than me having having trophies in my school that were mine. So we need to remember, it's all about the prospective new student, that potential student. They are the most important person in the world. They want to know that one thing. They want to know, what can you do for me? My child's failing in school. Or I got to walk to my car after work every day and I'm a little nervous. You know, they just mugged somebody down the street last week. Now, they don't want to be a world championship karate tournament fighter. They don't want to be a mixed martial arts or UFC champion. They want to be able to get home to dinner on time. That's what they're thinking. They want to sweat. They want to have a good workout. So they want to know what we can do for them. Now, on a side note, they still do want to know a little bit about you. What do when I continue my tour in this school? I bring them over here. I show them the Hall of Fame awards, but I do it very briefly. Oh, these are a series of Hall of Fame awards I won, competing in the World Games and different organizations. And then I move right by it. I just mention it. Let them look at it later. I walk over here. This is Professor Florendo Malcruz Visitacion. We affectionately call him Professor V. I train directly under Professor V. Next to Professor V, Soki Littlejohn Davis. Thank God Soki is still with us. I still train and have the ultimate respect for Soki.
He was
He
here last
visits
month.
our school. He was
Last
here in
month.
January. I always do something with my instructor. I will not break my ties because I think it's important for us to maintain the integrity of what we teach and our respect for our seniors. There's nothing wrong with being professional. There's nothing wrong with earning a good
Can you say that
living.
again, sir, please?
There is nothing wrong with earning good money for what you do, as long as you teach it with integrity and you practice what you preach. If you're on the floor and you train with your students and you get out there and you demonstrate, you do not just dictate. Now, naturally, as you get older, and I'm feeling it, my knees aren't what they used to be. I don't know if I can do that jump split kick and still stand up afterwards. My point is that in developing ourselves, we change, but we have to know what our limitations are, but we use that as a strength when we teach, so that we can show other people how they too can continue to grow. What happens when you look at the 50-year-old that comes in to your school and wants to start training? He's never done it. What happens? I have to empower them and make sure that they can see, well, come with me. We're about the same age. Let's do it. Let's train. Let me show you what it's like to be a new person in our school. It's not just about me. How are your peers, your classmates going to treat you being a new student? How are they going to make you feel? So by doing this, what happens is I show them what it's like to be a student in our school. A couple of things that are important. It's what they're looking to get from your school and show them how you can help them get what they want. So on their sheet, when you're first coming into that school, you need to know what their benefits they're looking for. You have to show them how you can help them get those benefits. How are you going to do it? Mr. Benz is going to talk more in detail about how you do that in a later segment today. So really pay attention to that. He's going to get into this in detail. Make sure that they see it firsthand when you're walking through the school and they hear the right things. Build rapport, build trust. Make sure they feel comfortable with you. Be genuine. I'm looking at notes because I want to kind of give you some idea. I don't do this when I show people around the school. I don't use these notes. The fact is, you know what? I'm going to put it down. It's not necessary. Because I believe it, I live it, I feel it. I know what I can do for people.
And we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to grow and help people grow and reach goals. Okay? Main thing, and I just want to expand on this. We talked earlier about the time when I had 12 students and couldn't seem to get more than 12 students because we trained too hard. It was too tough, it was too rough, too much contact, concrete floor. Come on, you gotta have a mat. Okay, we got carpeting. Yeah, but it's only this thick. Well, that's not really a mat. Well, sometimes we adjust, we make strides and move forward. It's okay to change. It's okay to provide quality martial arts service and get paid for doing it. And it's even better if you can affect 100 people's lives than it is 12. You see what I'm saying? So by affecting the lives of 100 people, you've affected many more. And your legacy goes on. What I really want to I want to end this little conversation. And I just want to say, each of you has your own unique background in martial arts. Pay tribute to your seniors, your instructors, the people that who taught you and brought you along the way in the path. Keep your art alive, professionalize. You want your system to live on beyond your time. And that won't happen if we just sit back and not be open-minded to change. Okay? Keep the legacy alive and work and strive to get better and realize it's okay to be professional as long as you do it with integrity. All right?